Good morning. We're going to get started here in a second. Let's see here. Interesting. Setup's not working. Okay. Get to troubleshoot again. I think that happened to me last week too, right? Good times. Good times. Good times. Good times. Okay, it's working. Let's see here. Why is my stream health poor? No dropped frames. 60 frames a second. 5,000 kilobits per second upstream. I don't know why it would be poor. That's frustrating. Oh, hey, it's green now. Look at that. Cool. Let's see. So we need to go. Let's get the keynote going. Good morning. Trust everyone is doing good. And if you're watching this later on playback, I hope you're doing well. Let's see. What are we? Lecture 19? Something like that. Ooh, getting some drop frames. Just 1%. Not too bad. Wait, is it 19 or 18? 19. Subjunctive, right? Yeah. I'm excited. Okay, let me get a couple things going here. Okay. So we are covering, this is our 19th lecture, and we're going to be covering the subjunctive today. This is probably my favorite mood, probably my all-time favorite verb. I love these things. So I'm pretty excited about it. I find that they're probably the most interesting, at least in my personal opinion. And so maybe you'll find them to be fun and exciting too when you're translating. But they are not easy. That's also part of the reward, right? It's challenging. So let's dive in. I'm excited for this. So the subjunctive is different from the indicative. It has no time, whereas indicative does. The indicative indicates something about reality. Subjunctive is only concerned with probability. Excuse me. Whereas indicative is concerned about perceived reality. Okay? So indicative is about perceived reality. Subjunctive, it's only about whether it's probable. Yeah, it's probable that that could happen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whereas indicative would be like, this happened. Okay? So that's kind of what we're dealing with. What's the difference? Now, there's a continuous subjunctive. There's an undefined subjunctive. Look at the continuous. It uses the present tense stem plus a lengthened connecting vowel. That's your cue that we're dealing with subjunctive. Plus the primary personal endings. Why do I have a sigma on there? Lovely. Okay, so this is the continuous subjunctive. Present tense stem, lengthened connecting vowel, primary personal endings. So look at Leo, for example. You have Leo, this is subjunctive. It's identical to the first person singular present active indicative. Oh my, what are we supposed to do? Context is key. Context is key. We'll see later that there are a lot of subjunctive markers, words that signal you're dealing with the subjunctive. So when you see those, it's a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway, you're dealing with subjunctive. Okay? So yes, the first person singular could be present active subjunctive. It could be present active indicative, Leo. Okay? When it's Leo indicative, it's I destroy. When it's subjunctive, it's I could destroy or I might destroy. Okay? Liis, this, you see the lengthened eta here with the iota subscript. That's how we know this is subjunctive and not indicative. Lii. Now this one looks just like the second person singular present middle passive subjunctive and the indicative. So they look identical, okay? Again, context will be key, and that will help you determine, is this middle passive or is this active? So he might destroy, he might be destroyed, or if it's reflexive in meaning, he might destroy himself. Now, Leomen, we see the lengthened omicron becomes omega. So that's how we're dealing with the subjunctive. Liite, Leosin, same stuff. Omicron lengthens, the epsilon lengthens. That's how we're dealing with the subjunctive. Okay? Because it's present, we see the normal present tense stem. Nothing changes there. Okay? That's the continuous subjunctive. Here's the middle passive. Same secondary endings. Leome, Lii, Liite, Leometha, Liiste, Leonte. Yes, the Lii looks just like the third person singular present active subjunctive. I don't know why I put a / second person singular present middle passive, because that's what this is. I could have just closed the parenthesis right there. Anyways, so it's the same. This is the middle passive, continuous subjunctive. Now, we need to learn eme before we go any further. You will see this frequently. It's the subjunctive, the continuous subjunctive or present active subjunctive of eme. O, is, e, omen, ite, osin. And what you'll see is, if you take the verb, like from Leo, and you take the stem off, li, everything you're left with is the eme subjunctive. Leo, liis, lii, li omen, li ite, li osin. O, is, e, omen, ite, osin. That is eme. So it's kind of helpful. If you learn eme, you've learned the continuous active subjunctive. Okay? So make sure you learn this one. My ear hurts for some reason. Maybe that will help. Not sure. Maybe not. Try shortening it. See if that helps. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. So this is eme in the subjunctive. Okay, so now let's talk about undefined subjunctive. Again, this is when you're dealing with aorist tense stems. There's no time. Therefore, there is no augment. But to identify the tense, there is a tense formative, either a sigma or a theta, okay? Plus a lengthened connecting vowel. So the subjunctive still maintains a lengthened connecting vowel. That does not change. My ear hurt. What is going on? Must have slept on my ear wrong. So the lengthened connecting vowel doesn't change. When you deal with the undefined subjunctive, you'll have a tense formative. Now, in some cases, you'll also have the second aorist tense stem, which is another dead giveaway. You're dealing with the aorist. So look for your clues. You're either going to have the tense formative or you're going to have the second aorist, okay? Plus, you're going to have the lengthened connecting vowel. Now, and then, of course, it all ends with the primary personal endings. Now, they are the same endings as continuous subjunctive, but they use a different tense stem, or they include the sigma tense formative, okay? So, liso, lisis, lisi, lisomen, lisite, lisosin. Don't confuse this with the future indicative. Because remember, the tense formative and future indicative is a sigma, right? The difference is this is a sigma with a lengthened connecting vowel. Now, that being said, liso is both first person singular future active indicative and first person singular aorist active subjunctive. It's both. Context is key. So remember that. Once you get beyond the first person singular, though, it's all subjunctive. Lisis, lisi, lisomen, lisite, lisosin. Now, just be aware that the lisi follows the same issue as before, where the third person singular aorist active subjunctive is identical to the second person singular aorist middle passive subjunctive. Or middle subjunctive. The passive will use the theta. That's a different matter altogether. So here's the first aorist middle subjunctive. Lisome, lisi. There's the identical version, right? From the third singular. Lisite, lisometha, lisiste, lisonte. Okay? So these just change the endings. Now, when it's passive, litho, lithis, lithi, lithomen, lithite, lithosin. The good news is these aren't identical to anything else. So when you see theta plus a lengthened connecting vowel, you know exactly what you're dealing with in and of itself. So for example, this could be like, I might be destroyed. But it's undefined. There's no aspect of time. Now, when you're dealing with second aorist, it's a dead giveaway because you're dealing with a completely different stem. So lambano, the aorist tense stem is lab. There's no me. So labo, labis, labi, labomen, labite, labosin. There's no augment because there's no time. So you know you're dealing with some sort of aorist here. And then you see the lengthened connecting vowel. And you're like, oh, that's subjunctive. Easy. Okay? Here's what the aorist middle looks like for second aorist subjunctive. Remember, genao. Wait, is this genao or is this genome? Oh, man. I can't remember. I got to look it up. Hold on. So if you go into BDAG, a helpful thing to do is look at the index. Or not the index, the appendix. One of them, anyways. And it is genome. So if you go to 374 in the appendix, you'll see genao and genome right next to each other. That's super helpful. And you'll see the stem of genao is consistently gamma, epsilon, ni. All the way across the board. Go down to genome, and the present tense stem is gen, gamma, iota, ni. Once you move out of there, it's gen, gamma, epsilon, ni. And it's just the one ni. That's what we're dealing with here. This is genome. So my bad for forgetting. Apparently I need to brush up on my vocabulary, which I'm working on by teaching that every day. It's just very slow. One word a day. But I digress. So there you go. I'm not going to put those headphones on. My ear hurts. I don't know why. All right, so this is genome. You see the second aorist stem, gen, lengthened connecting vowel, and then the middle passive ending. Genome, geni, genite, genometha, geniste, genonte. Okay? This could be like, I might be, I might become. Genome. Grapho becomes grapho. What? It's almost identical. I think the only difference is the accent. I think. Let's look it back. This one, we'll just go to the dictionary in the back. Yeah, the accent's different. This is a circumflex accent over the omega rather than an acute accent over the alpha. And that's how you know you're dealing with something different. I told you the accents don't matter except for when they do. Right? They don't typically matter except for when they do. And this is one of those times where it does matter. As you learn your vocabulary, you should be learning the accents. Because when you see something different, that light bulb goes off and you're like, hey, something's different here. And then you know to go look it up. Okay, so make sure you learn the accents of the lexical forms. It will help you. Okay? So grapho, the interesting about writing is it's usually in the passive, but it's actually translated active most of the time. Go figure. So there you go. That's grapho, graphis, graphi, graphomen, graphite, graphosin. This one's just a little weird because there's no theta. Theta. There's no theta. But it is passive. Now, what do you do with contract verbs? You follow kind of the same principles you've already been learning. So the continuous subjunctive contract verbs will look just like the present indicatives, but in many cases it has an omega or eta connecting vowel. Now, where there is no circumflex, rely on context. Context is key. This shouldn't be anything new to you. We've already seen numerous examples this lesson alone where several forms are identical to another. Context is always king. You cannot do translation without context. You cannot do interpretation without context. Remember that. These things aren't written in a vacuum. Oh, someone just followed. Eskimo Kisses. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Not sure if you followed on YouTube or Mixer. Oh, it was Mixer. Cool. Man. But otherwise, all the same rules apply for the contract verbs that we've been learning, so there's really no difference there. You just got to be attuned to the accents. All right, so this is where it gets interesting. How do you use the subjunctive? We've just spent several minutes going through how do you recognize the subjunctive, but what is it used for? How do you translate it? Okay, so the first thing you need to be aware of is it can work in dependent clauses, meaning it's going to derive meaning. It's going to derive meaning. That's so redundant, it's confusing. It's going to depend on something else. It's going to depend on another main verb. Subjunctive will never be a main verb. Well, I shouldn't quite say that. Most of the time, it's not going to be a main verb. It's dependent on another clause, another phrase, another sentence. Okay, and what you'll see are particular words or markers that indicate you're dealing with the subjunctive. Ina is one of them. Means that, so that. It indicates either purpose or result for the most part. Okay, so I walk in order to go to the store. My purpose of walking is going to the store. Or, I walk so that I can get to the store. The result is that I'm going to the store. I'm getting to the store by walking. Okay? So that's Ina subjunctive. Another dependent clause is aeon plus subjunctive. This is a third class condition. Check out pages 328 and 329. This is if then. If then. You have the protasis and you have the apodosis. Protasis, if. The apodosis, then. This is a very important construction. It's not the only kind of conditional sentence, but it's very common. And you need to understand what that is. It gives you a conditional element, if. Now, based on that conditional element, it then gives you a non-conditional element, then. The if portion is uncertain. The then portion is certain, provided the condition of the first portion is met. But it's unclear that that first portion will be met. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. What is the aspect? Well, keep in mind that aeon plus subjunctive plus any mood, any tense, is how you form the third class condition. So you'll have aeon subjunctive in the protasis. You'll have any mood, any tense. It could be indicative, it could be subjunctive, it could be future, it could be anything like that. In the apodosis, okay? The aspect is the sum total of this third class condition is it's giving us a condition that is uncertain of fulfillment but still likely to occur. Okay? The Catholic epistles, the general epistles, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st and 2nd, 3rd John, these are filled with aeon subjunctives. Okay, third class conditions. And again, it's a condition that is something unlikely or uncertain of fulfillment but likely to occur. Okay, so when you look at those, pause and really figure out, okay, well, what's the piece that is uncertain of fulfillment? What's the piece that is likely to occur? There is a future, more probable form of third-class condition. It's if something might happen, then something else will definitely happen. Okay? And then there's a hypothetical use. If something does happen, it is assumed that the protasis won't actually happen. But if it does, something else would happen. So in your translation, you might say, well, if that happens, and assuming that it doesn't, but if it does, this would happen. Okay? So it's super hypothetical. And then there's the present general. This is formed by aeon subjunctive plus present tense in the apodosis. And what it is if something generally happens, so it's generic, then something else would happen. This is your simple if A, then B construction. There's no indication as to whether A will happen or not. It's just if A, then B. Simple. Simple. Okay? Now, these are all dependent clauses. This is why I paused a moment ago and said subjunctive would never be independent. Well, that's not true. There are times that it will. And when it's a hortatory subjunctive, meaning it's used as an exhortation, it will be in the first person singular or plural, usually plural, let us. Typically at the beginning of the sentence, you'll translate it, let me, let us, and you need to rely on the context. Especially if it's first singular, because that could be identical to the first person singular present active indicative, right? So remember that. And it stands alone. It stands apart. It's not linked to another word, phrase. So it's not got aeon. It's not got ina. It's pretty much an exhortation. And in that sense, it's a command. Okay. Not as strong as, say, an imperative, which we'll get to not next week. Maybe it is next week. I don't know. But it is essentially a command. There's also deliberative subjunctive. This is the use of questions, right? To deliberate is to ask questions and go back and forth. Deliberative subjunctive is just that. It's a question to which the answer is uncertain. That's why the subjunctive is used, because it's this realm of probability, which includes the realm of uncertainty. When you have such a question, the verb will be subjunctive. Okay? Now, usually there's a helping word that shows it's a question, plus you'll see that semicolon at the end. Now, learn this list. Make sure you learn the vocabulary here. This is super important. You need to understand all of the different markers of the subjunctive. You have ina and aeon, we've already seen. Ina, that, in order that, with the result that, so that. Depends on if it's purpose or result. You have to be the judge based on the context. Okay, context is king. I'm going to say that till I'm blue in the face. Context is king. The sooner you come to grips with that, the better off you will be when you do your interpretation and translation. Aeon. It's actually e, if, plus on, ever, if ever. Well, we'll just translate it if. Then there's oton. Oton means when, on is ever, whenever. Os on, os is who, on is ever, whoever. Opu on. Opu is where, plus on ever, wherever. Eos, until. Eos on, also until. Because you're not going to say until ever. The other clues is lengthened connecting vowels. And then, of course, the undefined have no augment. Plus, you'll see the lengthened connecting vowel, and boom, you'll be like, hey, that's subjunctive. Learn this list. Make these vocabulary cards if you need to, draw up a poster, take a screenshot, put it on your wallpaper for your computer, do something with it. Get creative, okay? Make sure you know these. Now, how do you negate the subjunctive? Keep in mind that "oo" is generally used with the indicative. Doesn't have to be, but it's usually. "Me" is used with everything else. Okay, so both "oo" and "me" mean no. But when you combine them together, "oo" plus "me" plus an undefined subjunctive, that is one of the strongest negative phrases you could use of a future situation. It's used for emphasis. It might be like "oo me genito." May it never be. Okay, so it's very strong. Very strong. It's probably the most emphatic that form we have. Now, there's also the optative mood, which is very much like the subjunctive. It's very rare, but we do come across it. Just be aware of it, okay? Use your helps, use the book to understand, follow the optative, but it's very much similar to the subjunctive. And I want to say "umi genito" is actually optative. But just be aware, okay? There is the optative. That's more of the realm of possibility, whereas subjunctive is the realm of probability. They're very, very close in understanding, but they're not identical, okay? So there you have it. You negate with "me" with the subjunctive, but if you're doing something emphatic, it'd be "oo me" plus the undefined subjunctive, and that's a strong negation of a future situation. Now, when you have questions in the subjunctives, we talked about the deliberative, right? When "oo" or "me" is present, or actually the lack of it, it means there's no indication as to the given answer. Okay? Questions sometimes have implied answers. When "oo" and "me" is not present, there is no indication given about that answer. There's no implied answer. Now, when "oo" is present, the answer to the question is expected to be affirmative, yes. When "me" is present, the answer to the question is expected to be negative. In English, what we do is we basically say, you're going to the store, right? The expected answer is yes. Or in English, we might say, are you going to the store or no? The expected answer to that question would be no. You're kind of putting the cart before the horse. That's what this is. So "oo" is yes and "me" is no. What? "Oo" means no. How could that? It's just the way the construction is done, okay? So when you have a question and "oo" is present, that means the expected answer is yes. Now, you would translate it literally, right? So, I don't know. I'm just throwing an idea out there. "Oo," just do "oo liso?" question mark. You would translate it, I am destroying? Question mark? Yes, that's the expected answer. "Me liso?" Me liso? I am not destroying? I'm not. No. Okay, so that's how that works. Wow, okay, so that just took 30 minutes to get through the lecture. Have fun practicing it in the workbook. They are a lot of fun. But make sure you're practicing. right? Read, review, practice. And we'll see you next week. Hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Come back again next week. Is next week, what do we got next week? I want to say it's infinitive or imperative. It's probably imperative. Let's see. Participles. We're cooking right along. This was chapter 31. No, we're doing infinitive next week. Cool. Infinitives are fun. Not as fun as subjunctive, but still fun. So we'll go over that next week. So stick around, and we're almost done. See, this was 19, so next week is 20. I think we've only got 2 or 3 more after that, and then we'll be translating. So we're coming up on the end here. It's exciting. But it's not fun if you haven't been keeping up on the vocab, keeping up on the lectures, right? The good thing is you can go at your own pace. This is all recorded, all available, all archived. So do that. Go at your own pace. There's no reason to fret over it. Don't get stressed out about it, because then you'll quit, right? Go at your own pace. Have fun. Color. Draw. Do posters. Get creative. Language should be immersive. Since we don't have that luxury, make it fun. Okay? If you want, feel free to use the link below, streamlabs.com/phoneophone1 to donate, tip if you want. You don't have to. But please hit the like and hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Appreciate the support. And I hope you're getting something out of this. I taught this course at the graduate level. You're getting graduate level coursework for free. You're welcome. I really want you to be able to enjoy the Greek language. So come back next week. We'll see you then. Thanks for stopping by or watching later. Don't forget, you can watch me on Mixer later today, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, except for tomorrow because it's Mother's Day. But I digress. Have a good week. Bye-bye.